Have you ever wondered how one of the most iconic airplanes in the world, the Boeing 747, is made? This incredible aircraft, also known as the Queen of the Skies, changed the way we travel and revolutionized the aviation industry when it first took flight in 1969. Designed to carry hundreds of passengers across the globe, the 747 isn't just a plane, it's a masterpiece of engineering. Today, we're taking you behind the scenes of how this jumbo jet comes to life, from the initial designs to its first flight. We'll uncover the fascinating process of turning raw materials into a flying giant that weighs nearly 1 million pounds when fully loaded. By the end, you'll have a whole new appreciation for the work, precision, and passion that goes into building one of the world's most legendary airplanes. Ready? Let's go! Every great invention starts with an idea, and the Boeing 747 is no exception. Back in the 1960s, Boeing engineers were tasked with creating a larger, faster, and more efficient aircraft to meet the growing demand for air travel. Airlines needed a plane that could carry hundreds of passengers over long distances, and Boeing set out to deliver. The design process was no small task. It took a team of over 50,000 engineers, technicians, and mechanics, known as the Incredibles, to bring the concept to life. The first step in designing the 747 was figuring out its unique shape. Its iconic hump-like upper deck wasn't just for style. It was designed to allow for a front cargo door, so the plane could also be used as a freighter. Engineers sketched out blueprints, modeled aerodynamics, and ran countless simulations to perfect the design. With its massive wingspan of nearly 200 feet and a fuselage wide enough to fit 2 aisles and 10 seats across, the 747 became the first true jumbo jet. But designing it on paper was only the beginning. Next came the challenge of turning those designs into something real. A monumental task that involved gathering the right materials to build this aviation giant. If you're liking this video so far, please take a moment to support our channel by clicking that free subscribe button, liking this video, and leaving a comment. Alright, let's keep going. Once the design was finalized, Boeing needed to figure out how to transform those blueprints into a physical aircraft. The first step? Gathering the right materials. The 747's massive size and need for strength demanded advanced materials that could withstand the stresses of flight while staying lightweight. Engineers turned to high-grade aluminum alloys for most of the fuselage and wings, while titanium was used in areas like the landing gear and engine mounts for added durability. Boeing's factories sourced these materials from suppliers all over the world. Sheets of aluminum were shipped in, cut into precise shapes, and treated to improve their strength. Each piece, from wing panels to fuselage sections, was made with incredible precision, often down to the millimeter. Even small mistakes in cutting or shaping could compromise the plane's aerodynamics or safety. The materials weren't just about strength, they also had to account for fuel efficiency. Boeing pioneered techniques like chemical milling, which shaved off unnecessary weight without weakening the materials. The result was a strong but lightweight structure ready for assembly. Once the raw materials were prepared, it was time to move to the heart of the process, the assembly line, where the magic of bringing all these parts together begins. Building a Boeing 747 isn't like putting together a small car or even a typical airplane. It's a colossal undertaking. The process takes place in Boeing's Everett factory in Washington, which is one of the largest buildings in the world by volume. It's so big that workers joke it has its own weather system inside. This is where all the parts of the 747, from its massive wings to the tiniest screws, come together like a giant puzzle. The first step on the assembly line is creating the fuselage, which is the long, tube-like body of the aircraft. This is done by piecing together large cylindrical sections, which are riveted with thousands of fasteners to ensure durability. Next, the wings, spanning nearly 200 feet, are attached to the body. These wings aren't just bolted on, they're carefully fitted with hydraulic systems, wiring, and fuel tanks to make them fully functional. What's amazing is that parts of the 747 are built all over the world and shipped to Everett for final assembly. The nose of the plane might come from Wichita, Kansas, while other components from suppliers as far away as Japan. This global collaboration requires precise timing and logistics to make sure every part arrives exactly when it's needed. As the plane moves down the assembly line, thousands of workers add the landing gear, electrical systems, and interior components. It's all done with painstaking attention to detail. There's no room for error when you're building something that will fly passengers 35,000 feet above the ground. Once all the major components are assembled, the 747 starts to look like a plane. But there's still a long way to go before it's ready to take to the skies. Next up, the inside of the plane, where passenger comfort becomes the focus. While the exterior of the Boeing 747 is all about engineering and aerodynamics, the interior focuses on comfort and functionality for passengers and crew. The 747's massive size allows for a double-aisle cabin, seating up to 660 passengers in its high-capacity configurations. Designing and assembling this space is a balancing act between comfort, efficiency, and practicality. The process begins with the installation of insulation to keep the cabin warm and quiet during flights at 35,000 feet. Next, the wiring and air conditioning ducts are fitted, snaking through the fuselage like veins in a giant body. Once the basics are in place, teams begin installing the cabin floors, overhead bins, and wall panels. These elements are made from lightweight materials to keep the plane's overall weight down while ensuring durability for decades of use. The seating is where passenger comfort really comes into play. Each seat, whether in economy, business, or first class, is carefully mounted to the floor tracks. Airlines can customize the layout based on their needs, adding features like premium lie flatbeds or economy rows with extra legroom. Finally, the cabin is fitted with lighting, emergency equipment, and entertainment systems. By the time the interior is finished, the 747 transforms from an engineering marvel into a flying hotel. Now that the interior is ready, it's time to turn our attention to the engines, the true powerhouses that make the 747 soar through the skies. No plane can fly without its engines, and for the Boeing 747, those engines are nothing short of extraordinary. The 747 is typically powered by 4 massive turbofan engines, like the General Electric CF6, Pratt & Whitney JT9D, or Rolls-Royce RB211, depending on the model and airline specifications. These engines are engineering marvels in themselves, capable of generating tens of thousands of pounds of thrust each. The process of making these engines starts in separate facilities, where highly skilled engineers craft precision parts like turbine blades, compressors, and combustion chambers. These parts are built using heat-resistant alloys that can withstand temperatures over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the components are ready, the engines are assembled and tested rigorously before they're shipped to Boeing's factory. Installing the engines on the 747 is a delicate process. Each engine is mounted under the wings using pylons designed to handle extreme forces while minimizing drag. Technicians connect the engines to the plane's fuel, electric, and control systems, ensuring they're fully integrated. After installation, the engines are tested on the ground by firing them up to full power, simulating the stresses of takeoff and flight. With the engines in place, the 747 finally has the power it needs to defy gravity. But before it can take off, it must go through rigorous testing to ensure safety and reliability. Before a Boeing 747 is allowed to take flight, It goes through an intense series of tests to ensure it meets the highest safety and performance standards. Every step of the testing process is designed to catch even the smallest flaw because, in aviation, there's no room for error. The first stage of testing happens on the ground. Technicians examine every system, from electrical wiring to hydraulic controls, checking for proper function and redundancy. They also test the landing gear by simulating takeoffs and landings to ensure it can handle the immense weight of the fully loaded plane. One of the most important tests is the wing flex test. The wings of the 747 are designed to bend slightly during flight to absorb stress, but they need to stay within a specific range. Engineers apply thousands of pounds of force to the wings to confirm they'll hold up under pressure. Once the ground tests are complete, it's time for the flight tests. Boeing test pilots take the 747 on its maiden voyage, pushing it to the limits. They test steep climbs, sharp turns, and emergency scenarios to make sure the aircraft performs flawlessly. After passing every test, the plane is finally ready for its final stages, painting and delivery. What are your thoughts on this amazing building process? Let us know in the comments below. With the Boeing 747 fully assembled and tested, it's time to give it its finishing touches. First up is the paint job, a surprisingly intricate process. Painting a 747 requires about 120 gallons of specialized lightweight paint, designed not just to make the plane look sleek, but also to protect it from the elements. Airlines typically provide their unique livery designs, from logo placements to color schemes, and the painting team applies them with incredible precision. The paint is applied in layers, starting with a primer to prevent corrosion, followed by the base color and then the details of the airline's branding. Once complete, the 747 looks as majestic as it performs. After painting, the aircraft undergoes final inspections. Teams ensure every detail is perfect, from the cleanliness of the cabin to the functionality of every system. Then comes delivery day. Airlines send their crews to officially receive the plane, marking the end of the manufacturing process and the beginning of its journey in the skies. With its signature hump and massive size, the 747 is ready to carry passengers, cargo, and even dreams across the globe. But the magic isn't over yet. The first flight is still to come. The first flight of any Boeing 747 is a moment of celebration. Once delivered to an airline, the jumbo jet's inaugural journey often draws crowds of aviation enthusiasts and media. For the crew, it's a culmination of years of design, engineering, and assembly. The plane taxis onto the runway, engines roaring to life, and begins its climb into the sky. From its first successful flight to the millions that follow, the 747 cements its legacy as the queen of the skies. Each 747 tells a story, not just of engineering, but of connecting people and places in ways once thought impossible. The Boeing 747 is more than just an airplane. It's a symbol of human ingenuity and the power of collaboration. From the drawing board to its first flight, the process of creating a 747 is nothing short of remarkable. Thousands of hands come together to turn raw materials into a flying giant, capable of crossing oceans and continents. Thanks for joining us on this journey into how the legendary Boeing 747 is made. If you enjoyed learning about this engineering marvel, let us know in the comments what other how it's made topics you'd love to see. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss our future videos. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.